What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. Round 7 done and dusted, Anzac round, a special day at the Adelaide Oval, and Port Adelaide get the job done by 9 points in a game that, it was one of those games, wasn't it? It was one of those games. A special day with Anzac round and how beautiful it was to be at the Adelaide Oval in perfect conditions, watching the bugle being played, the last post at the top of the riverbank stand, set the tone for a beautiful, beautiful day. And I think with 35,000 people there, it was an incredible day. You're not really a big draw card when you get North Melbourne at home, and it's Saturday twilight slot, but 35,000 people turning up, incredible atmosphere, and one that I really think were very, very happy and very enjoying their time before that first ball was bounced. And even at the end of the first quarter, I think we're all pretty happy. But got the job done, got the 4 points, and one that I can happily say that I'm glad is over. Because let me tell you, that game single-handedly may rip my little hairs out one by one, and it was painful viewing. It was disastrous in terms of umpiring. It was shocking. Absolutely deplorable. And I, win or lose, I never really want to blame the umpires because, one or two decisions may dictate a set play, but they won't ever dictate a result because you make your own, you make your own luck and everything like that. But holy shit, excuse the language, but this was diabolical. This was one that, I could not believe how much this game was dictated by that whistle. The yellow people were terrible. This was shocking. And the first quarter was, pretty straightforward. Port Adelaide, great start, fantastic football, igniting out of the middle, led by, I think Ollie Wines had a great first quarter, and his score involvements were out of this world in terms of his quick hands, his ball movement in the middle, and setting up the running past of Rosie, horne-francis, and Butters, and being able to hit targets inside 50, and that happened multiple times throughout the first quarter. It was fantastic. We really set the tone for the day. And as we know, Port Adelaide get a first quarter where they ignite and they start strong and they'll build on it, and then eventually there'll be one quarter where we switch off completely, and this game has already been wrapped up, so it's okay. This game was wrapped up at the end of the first quarter. I don't believe it was, but it was wrapped up in terms of Port Adelaide had set the tone. Until little yellow men running around, there's 4 of them, plus the boundary umpires, blowing their whistles, having fun for themselves, and really dictating a result that shouldn't have been as close as it was. Now, Port Adelaide had missed opportunities. The second quarter is one of the worst quarters of football I've seen. Sam Papepper kicking it into the man on the mark. George Aldis missing from point-blank range on his left and kicking it so far high in the air, I think it's still flying down. Then, you've got shitty calls. One with just constant, 50-metre penalties. Not even giving the opportunity for the match to breathe. And we're just like this on the calls. And it's ridiculous. It was shocking. And I can't believe, and this is not just a fan's opinion. I've heard media outlets and stars of the game say this was one of the worst officiated games ever seen. That second quarter is a blueprint of how not to umpire a game of football. The constant whistle blowing, the constant dictatorship of a game that you're not even a part of. You're an umpire. Step out, step away. You're there to officiate the game. You're not there to be the game. Like, piss off. It was just not how this game is, templated. It was shocking. And then the rest of the game was, everyone was just on the edge of their seat because it just felt like Port Adelaide were against it. The whole time after that first quarter, we just felt like we were against it. Only because constant over officiating and constant, backlash from contests and everything. And we weren't looked after in the contest multiple times in the defensive half. We were constantly either pushing the back, constantly, given, you could just see in the contest high tackles and everything. They weren't paid for us, but they were paid for North, which is really, it's just a biasness in a sense where you sit here and you go, a 9-point victory over North, where they've been pumped and slammed and backlashed and everything during the week with media, and no, by all means, North brought it. I thought their contest work was fine, and they pretty much I think they were, they obviously led in disposals. Their efficiency with their disposals was awful, but they were efficient inside 50. So when they got it inside 50, they were efficient only because the 4 of fucking their goals were given to them. And I'm sorry, the language is terrible. This game frustrates me. They won the contested possessions by 18. And this is a stat line that I'm really starting to get a bit concerned about, because I know when we win contested play, we are very, very good. But, I thought our pressure in the first quarter was that whole first quarter was fantastic. I thought that was how the blueprint for the rest of the game was going to. We had to scrap, claw, and fight our way through everything just to get this job done. And I know the last quarter again. We don't win a last quarter. We lose a last quarter. We kicked 2 goals, 5, and then the North kicked 3 goals, 3. So. There was a couple of shots late that we had, a couple of rush behinds, and I know, importantly, Georgiadis and Lord kicking the 2 goals in the last quarter is what got us there. But, I think at the end of the day, you just sit here and you go, this is a match where it was set up for a North Melbourne response. Port Adelaide coming off 2 great wins. I think with this type of win for Port Adelaide, it's gutsy. In a sense of not we played well, because there was still moments in this game where we should have been better. Rosie turning it over inside defensive 50, constant poor decision making on kick-ins, missed handballs, over usage of the footy, and just stupidity. And it brings me back to the second quarter. It didn't happen so much in the second half, because in the second half was just a scrap and claw type of game, but. When you take a mark 45 out, back your distance, don't give the handball. We were looking for Kane Farrell too much. I know he's his 100th game, but there's just not. You just got to take the moment. We're too selfless in that sense. We don't take the moment. It was just a game that was frustrating, and I'm glad it's done. We took the 4 points. That's all we need. I want to do a few player shout-outs. I know Zach Butters obviously was best on ground. He won the Peter Badco VC medal, which was fantastic. Very, very nice to see. Thought Connor Rosie's game, once again, was very, very good. He battled really well across half-back and was taking a couple of very, very good intercept marks. I really thought the likes of Ollie Wines and Horne-Francis' game, whilst Horne-Francis, and I'll get to him in a second, was potent in and around the ball, I really felt Ollie Wines' game was underrated. I sent an message out before saying that Ollie Wines' game was underrated. He did the hard stuff early. His contested work was amazing. He actually really held his own in the ruck work and became a midfielder once the ball hit the ground. He was really very, very contested in the way he worked himself. And I say this and knowing you talk about Peter Badco vet medal and what showcases leadership and hardship and courage and all of that. Ollie Wines, for me, to come back, and I know this heart issues are well documented, and he very easily could sit here and pull the pin. He could very easily say, all right, this is too personal for me to give my all. I need to step away and I need to be able to take care of myself. But no, he shows courage and he knows he does everything right by the book to make sure he's 100% fit, ready to go to play out there. And for him to stand up, he had two great moments in the last quarter where he took an intercept mark late. He also barreled the ball forward multiple times. He had 2 shots on goal, which unfortunately didn't hit the mark, but I was hoping he'd kick a goal because, he has shown so much courage in the way he's gone about his football, and I think it was really, really impressive. So well done, Ollie Wines. The horne-francis thing, I thought great leadership shown by Rosie and Butters and Ken. I thought that was a great moment to see. Didn't like how horne-francis walked away from that conversation, fully knowing that North got under his skin, but he bounced back in the last quarter and he took it to them in the contest and was able to really infiltrate the North attack, essentially, and that was really, really important. So he had great moments in there, and it was a messy game for Hornet, but he managed to get the job done. So in all, I didn't like the way he interpreted and handled himself. He's still a young kid. He's still working his way through finding his sweet spot in footy. But I think you got to be a little bit better than that. But in saying that, responded well. You knew he was going to have a big quarter. The last quarter said it all. So forgive and forget. I think we do with Jason Horne-Francis. Overall, it was just a game that we're going to forget never watching the replay. Don't care for anything. No highlights other than the first quarter. We scrapped our way to a win. We've got the Dogs next week in Ballarat, which will be a very interesting contest in the sense that we're probably the two informed teams of the comp when it comes to win-loss record over the last month. The Dogs have shown a lot more in terms of beating up the Saints and then beating up the Giants in Canberra. So I feel like this will be a game that we very much have to be focused and make sure we get right. I already have a couple of changes in mind and making sure that everything works out okay. So, and also full credit to Ollie Lord. Actually, I forgot to mention Ollie Lord's game, especially in the first quarter, was amazing. So great to see him having a positive impact. And yeah, I really see a lot of things turning positive. So next week, big game against the Dogs. We forget this one, we take the 4 points, and we run. Thank you so much for watching this review, Port fans. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the game and the contest overall, and the horrible umpiring that was. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. The Glass Table podcast will be out on Tuesday. Make sure you follow everything else on the socials, and we'll be around next week ready for the Dogs in Ballarat. Thank you so much for watching once again. My name's Anthony, and as always, ThePear.